Speed will be rewarded on this potentially chaotic day of competition in the cross-country. Great to have you with us at Zhangjiakou as the Paralympic Winter Games of Beijing 2022 continue. Sitting, standing and vision-impaired classes for women and men will give us 6 gold medalists today, but only after qualifying, semis and finals in all categories. The competition will be hot, maybe with weather to match as the remarkably mild conditions continue across eastern China. So Ukraine, China, the United States and Germany, Canada, they've all impressed so far. Will they, through this very busy day of competition, as you can see? We've got a lot to get through. And fortunately, the weather is smiling on us, but the snow is quite soft and it's disappearing gradually. We'll get through the end of the games, though, no doubt about that. We're going to rattle through these qualifying stages quite quickly. The 1.5 kilometre distance of 2018 has shrunk to just under 1 kilometre, so there'll be no holding back for anyone, starting with the 38 competitors in the men's sitting event.
Yep, an action-packed day is spread out before us here at the Zhangjiakou National Biathlon Centre. It's a return to the cross-country part of the Para-Nordic events here at the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympic Games after some stunning biathlon action 24 hours ago, and the temperature continues to rise up in the mountains. It's a positively balmy 6 degrees here at Zhangjiakou as we get ready here for the qualification race in the men's sprint sitting category. So 15 nations here on the start line, 38 competitors and a few racing for the first time here at these Beijing Paralympic Winter Games.
Yes, there are some specialists in the field, which does make it interesting. And this field of 38 gets reduced to 12 to go through. There'll be 2 semis of 6 each, and the more highly seeded athletes are at the top of the field. But it's great to see a spread of nations. And towards the bottom, we've got Georgia, Croatia, Azerbaijan, and all with interesting stories to tell. But they won't have long to tell them. It's going to be over very quickly, as they'll go out in 30-second intervals in the early stages of the competition today.
Yeah, the calm currently before the storm of racing. We'll see Romale of Italy going off first. He was on the podium at the recent Para-Nordic World Champs in Lillehammer in Norway, and Taras Rad, very accomplished para biathlete, competing again in the cross-country here. And watch out for the Brazilian as well, Christian Westermeier Ribeira, history-making the South American Para-Nordic skier. He goes off third here. There'll be all the usual suspects, really. The Ukrainians have had a terrific games across the cross-country and para-biathlon events here. China and Canada as well, with 4 cross-country medals. Colin Cameron, he goes off 5th there. Vasil Kravchuk and Daniel Knossen wants a lift in his fortunes. That's the Korean there, Shin. He had a fabulous games 4 years ago at home in Pyeongchang, and bib number 6 there, Vasil Kravchuk, looking to bring more medals the way of Ukraine. So a high quality field here. They're trying to qualify for the latter stages of this sprint event.
Interesting the way the event unfolded 4 years ago. Andrew Soll was the last qualifier to make it through in the sitting category, and the American then went on to win it. So he snuck into the second stage by 0.07 of a second, and then didn't look back. He was very close to not making it and goes on to claim a gold medal. So who knows what's before us today. I'm sure some interesting twists and turns will happen. And the main thing is to stay upright and give yourself a chance. Seconds away.
First to go then, Giuseppe Romale of Italy had a fantastic World Champs. He was a silver medalist in the middle distance event, 12.5 kilometres race there in Lillehammer 8 weeks ago. 5th in the long distance event here, his only time out on the racetrack thus far in Zhangjiakou.
Here from Ukraine is Taras Rad. Already enjoyed some medal success in biathlon and in Pyeongchang in the sprint. Had a 5th, so he's got credentials over this shorter distance. Back out there with Romele though, as he negotiates this rise and tries to pick the quickest part of the track.
Christian Ribera, history maker, not only is he breaking new ground, breaking new snow, if you will, as the first Paranordic athlete for Brazil 4 years ago in Pyeongchang. He was the youngest, full stop, to compete at those Korea Republic Winter Paralympic Games 4 years ago at just 15 years, 118 days. And, by the way, a silver medalist in Lillehammer in this sprint event.
So Romele negotiating that tight downhill right-hander. We go back to the start, and Pavlo Bal, and the Ukrainian is 35 now from Lviv, and in the sprint at the World Championships had a 6th. Over this short distance, there really will be 100% effort right the way round.
6 medals for Canada so far in the Paranordic events here at these Beijing Paralympic Winter Games. 4 of them in the cross-country, 1 of them to Colin Cameron, who goes off next. But we're racing with Romele, and this is how quick-fire it is on this morning of competition at Zhangjiakou. As the remaining athletes leave the start gate, we have our first finisher in Giuseppe Romele of Italy.
Well, let's see what the time to beat is. The effective time for Romele of 93%. He's LW11 sport class, and just over 2:20, so 2:24.46, and he'll be hoping that that is good enough to put him in the top 12.
Yeah, so just to give you an idea then, his actual time 2:35.33. But with that 93% factored time, that gives Romele 2:24.46. Next to come in, Rad 2:24.84, so he's 0.38 outside. But we're seeing our first reference times. Next to leave the start gate, Daniel Knossen. It's his 3rd Winter Paralympic Games, just outside the medals in the biathlon sprint. He was 4th there. 12th in the biathlon middle distance, 6th in the long distance cross country. So the man who is happy with his nickname of Crazy Pig comes across the line, Westermeyer, and he's quite pleased with that. Goes into top spot for the moment. And this is just qualifying stages, remember. We have 2 semis of 6 competitors each out of the sitting class. Gives the moustache a bit of a twist. He's a good character. So 2:23.48, the reference time here. Pablo Bal is going to be quick, 0.12 outside. But these are the quicker, the higher ranked athletes we're seeing finishing here. Top 12 to go through, and we're looking at our qualifiers, yet to be confirmed, of course, with 38 in this qualifying race as Cameron comes over. 7:97 inside the
that's quick
best time so far. Certainly is.
There's a little bit of a warning bell being rung by Cameron. Well, he's a powerfully built man. He's built for sprinting, if you like. As we go with Maxim Yarovyi, and the Ukrainian is a very experienced man at 32 out of Mykolaiv. And in Paralympic Games, he has a gold medalist in Pyeongchang over the longer distance, and 3rd in the sprint in Sochi. What a cracking time that is from Cameron to carve 8 seconds off Westermeyer Ribera's time.
15.17 outside Cameron's mark. There for Kravchuk and bib 7. Knossen, 11.75 outside, gives him a provisional 6th place. So next to leave the start gate, the Kazakhstani Yabul Shamitov, 7th in the long distance. And then a shot there of Kamitov just getting into his groove. Next over the line, Shin, 13 seconds out, 2:28.60.
It's reflecting on that early performance from Cameron as we just go back to Mao Zhongwu as he heads out onto the course. Cameron was second fastest qualifier 4 years ago, went on to make the final and sort of alluded to just missed a medal. But if he can maintain what he's just shown us, boy, this is going to be an interesting day for him and for others trying to match him.
Pike over the line, 11.5 seconds outside Cameron's mark. Should be good enough. Next to go, Guillaume Rocha. The Brazilians, by the way, four-handed in this race. So there's great representation from Brazil, who want to carve out a bit of a niche in terms of the para snow sports scene in South America. Rocha, 25 years of age. He was 19th in the long distance event. The athlete born in Sao Paulo.
These men work very hard right throughout the year and in the off-season, particularly on their upper body strength, the shoulders that do all the work. And Yarovyi in 2:34.71, that may not hold up for a top 12. We'll see. And Zaplatinsky, another of the Canadians coming through, hoping to join Cameron. It's not too bad, 10.46 seconds off the pace. Remember that there's nearly 8.5 seconds between first and second best time so far.
Yeah, gives you an idea of just how quick Cameron's lap was. Absolutely blistering from Colin Cameron, who set the fastest time thus far for Canada. Bib 18, next to go, Liu Zishu. We know that they've had a fabulous game so far in the Nordic events here. The Chinese, Liu, won the sitting biathlon sprint. So a rifle not required here. What can he do with the pure power in the cross country? The Chinese comes over the line, Mao.
Yeah, 4.52. Well, that is a very good time from Mao, just halving the difference between Cameron and Westermeyer as Mao comes in second place. And here's Yang Peng about to go. Also for China, they've got a strong contingent in this one with 6 in the lineup. And he is a 29-year-old from Putian and a long-distance sitting gold medalist.
Five golds all in the Nordic events, the para-biathlon and the cross-country combined here. It's been a breakout event for the Chinese para-Nordic squad. So Rocha next to come over, 18.68. Oh, the pain of it. Remember, it's top 12 to go through only. Wang Tao next for China, 25 from Binzhu. Finishes of 6th and 7th so far in 2 biathlon races. He was 6th in the biathlon sprint. LW12 classification. We'll endeavour to talk you through the various classifications in due course in this quick fire session of racing. Callum Du Bois comes in for Britain, 21 seconds away from Colin Cameron. So I'm afraid he won't be lasting through into the semi-finals. Next comes fellow Brit Steve Thomas.
Out of Barry, and he's made visits to the World Championships in both Prince George in Canada and Lillehammer. Player of Poland through 22 seconds down. He's outside the top 12, so there'll be no spot for him in the second stage. Liu is through in third place, so he's certain to make it.
Canada 2 and 3 at present behind Colin Cameron's mark. Next out of the blocks, Wesley, another of the Brazilian contingent, 11.5 classification, 23rd in the long distance event. Xu next.
And Zhu Yanfeng from Pingxiang, the 25-year-old. He's dabbled in wheelchair basketball as Zheng comes in. Goodness, 2:14.17. Not expecting that to displace Colin Cameron by over a second at the top of the standings.
Next to go, Du. Can he do it? Just outside the medals in the long distance event, 4th there, Du Tian, as Lula comes in, 22 away from Zheng's time. Won't be going through. That's a shame for him. So, China, 1, 3 and 4 in terms of the quickest times thus far. Wang is at 9.38 away from Zheng Peng's mark. Another quick time though.
1, 3, 4 and 6 they are at the moment. As Ethan Hess heads out onto the course. The young Canadian. And the locks flowing. And, the morning breeze, 10:15 we are, local time. Just looks over his shoulder at this little tricky left-hand turn and up. Do make the turns quite technical here. There's usually a change in terrain as well as direction as Thomas comes through outside a qualifying time.
Mori Irawaki, bib 28 next to go, looking to post this this time that will be sufficient to get it in amongst the top 12 that will book a spot in the semi-finals a little later in this session.
2:27 is the bubble time at the moment, and sitting in 12th position is Daniel Knosson.
Dos Santos there, Wesley Dos Santos, well outside the requisite mark. Here comes Zhu into 10th. Yeah, and that pushes Knosson out of a semi-final place. It's been disappointing so far for Daniel Knosson here in Zhangjiakou.
Here's Sergei Usultov, the veteran from Kazakhstan at 47 from Petropavl. Out on the course. See what he can do. Had some top 20s in Pyeongchang as we go back to the start and won.
First cross-country event for Won Yu-min. 2 previous biathlon races here. His best was 17th in the middle distance.
Du, well, not quite there with his teammates. That they could have 5 go through, though. China out of the 6. Josh Sweeney.
Great Paralympic winter history behind Josh Sweeney. He won gold with the USA Para Ice Hockey team in Sochi Now it's Ethan Hess sitting the line, but in the 240s, that's way down, I'm afraid. 30 seconds away from our leading time. So last qualifier at present, Aaron Pike, 2:27 dead.
Nicolas Lima of Argentina, sole representative from that South American country, from Ushuaia, and finished 17th in the long distance event. In the sprint at the Worlds, the 25th, Lillehammer.
For the Kazakhstan athletes in the race here, it seems that Berezin is another DNS, so Bilione will leave the start gate. The 29-year-old, 21st in the long distance. We're seeing more finishers now.
Maury coming through outside a qualifying time, unfortunately for him.
Well, this is bib 34. This is Berezin, the Kazakhstan athlete, 38 years young. They had a bit of glory 24 hours ago with their first medalist with Alex Gerlitz. Berezin just hits the racing line and tries to post a top 12 time. 2:27 still the final mark of Aaron Pike. And assault serve is way outside. Another Kazakhstani in this race.
Field reduced to 36. We had two not able to take the start line today. Steve Arnold of Great Britain and Azerbaijan's Memon Ramazanzadeh. That's a great shame. I'd love to have seen the Azerbaijani go around. He was a former visitor to Beijing in 2008 in the summer Paralympics in powerlifting. No spot for Wan in the semi-finals. Nor for Sweeney.
.234, only good enough for 19th place at present for Josh Sweeney. So Croatia with Josip Zima in the race. He was there in Pyeongchang 4 years ago. 35th in the sprint, and competed also at the World Champs in Lillehammer quite recently. 27th place in the 10K, so he needs a big improvement in his speed if he's to get a top 12 qualifying spot here. So Lima is outside, I'm afraid. 33 seconds down, 27th.
It's Aaron Pike sitting on that 12th spot, as you mentioned, 2:27 dead. So that looks like it'll see him through. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 definitely qualified out of the 12. We're just waiting for times to be confirmed, but it doesn't look like any of these late starters can make an impression on that top 12. Biglione well outside it. But the pride of competition, of course, he's well pleased to be here and competing on such a beautiful day.
Yeah, that's Josip Zima. And difficult for him to get any traction, really hurting in the elbows there. So Berezin, 30th place, not going to be going through to the semi-finals. So 2:24.98, that's the mark of Xu Yongfeng, currently in the 10th place. But it's in real time, really, it's 2:27, and that mark of Pike currently holding on to 12th. It'll be still nervy moments for Aaron Pike as he waits for the final racers to come over the line and post their qualifying lap times.
Not far away from the women's event. We're 20 minutes after 10 here, and the women are due to start at 10:24. Just stay with our last competitor out on the course for the men's sitting category, Zima, Croatia. Jong coming through outside qualifying time also.
Yeah, Jong Jae-sok down the order. Temori Dadiani. And our first failed to finish inside 3 minutes there. 3:04.97.
It's the flag bearer for Georgia at the opening ceremony of these Paralympic Winter Games. So Zima coming through, and this will complete the action for the men. And we'll be able to confirm for you shortly the top 12. And Pike is going to hold on in that spot at 2 minutes 27. As you can see, Zima's well outside that, so it's Zheng, Cameron, Mao, Liu, Westermeyer Ribera, Wang of China, Baal of Ukraine, Romelet of Italy, Rad of Ukraine, Zhu, Zaplatinsky of Canada, and Pike of the United States. They are the unofficial qualifiers. As Zima takes it down to the line, a little over 3 minutes.
Yep, our last finisher then in this men's sprint sitting qualification lap, 1:06 behind Zheng Peng, and we have our qualifiers. China have taken 5 of their 6 races through into the semi-finals. They've had 3 of the 4 fastest. Colin Cameron there for Canada, already a bronze medalist in these games with a fast time. And our last qualifier there, Aaron Pike. Daniel Knossen misses out. So too Shin Hyun, previous medalist at Paralympic Winter Games. But there will be a chance for the racers who didn't qualify here in this sprint category to go again, maybe in the relay races later in these games.
So we're just about ready for the women's sprint sitting category also, and a field of 18. And it looks this way, with the 2 star Americans first out of the gate, Masters and Gretsch, Vicker of Germany, bronze medalist here in these games. And they've come from USA, Great Britain, Poland, China, Ukraine, Norway, Brazil, Germany. But Masters will lead them out, and we'll hope to lead them throughout the day. Skarstein there of Norway, sitting tall in the chair.
Yep. Good to go then. Top 12 go through to the semi-finals in the women's sprint event here for sitting athletes at Beijing 2022. So Oksana Masters into the race. 3 events so far here at Zhangjiakou. 3 medals, including a gold in the biathlon sprint. So she's not required to get into the shooting range here. Does she have the speed again, this formidable athlete from the United States? And next to go isn't bad either.
From Colorado Springs comes Kendall Gretsch. And in cross country, just out of the medals in the long distance event, finishing 4th. Has made up for it in biathlon, but this is the sprint in the cross country, and she sets out after Oksana Masters. There's different category and time correction, so we'll see how these two shape up after the almost kilometre journey.
Well, Anya Vicker next to go. It was a stunning final a couple of laps in the biathlon middle distance event to get her on the podium. Her first podium spot in these games, Vickers. She got a bronze medal. Now then, she was a sprint world champion in biathlon, and will look to be one of the 12 quickest here, and certainly that's what we expect as Brazil go next.
So Aline dos Santos Roca at 31 from Pinhao, but a lot of the athletes train out of Sao Carlos for Brazil. As we go back to Masters, rattling around the course in good style and pace. Up on one ski for that tight turn. That's some athleticism right there as Birgit Skarstein gets ready to go.
The Norwegian superstar, Birgit Skarstein. During the summer months, she's a para rower. During the winter sports season, she gets on the skis. This is her 4th Paralympic Winter Games. Racing cross country. She was there in Sochi. She was there in Pyeongchang. 8th in the sprint 4 years ago in Korea Republic.
So as Masters prepares to come down to the line, we'll go back to the start to pick up Christina Picton of Canada, and she's 28 now, and based in Canmore, Alberta, like a lot of the Canadian para athletes. Masters top 12 to go through, same as the men's competition, and 2:42.54.
Nice morning workout there for Masters. Sets our first reference time. Well, she will be going through, we know that. It's just whether anyone can go quicker. Next out of the gate, Indira Lisset of Norway, 35. She was 8th in the long distance event. Was there at the World Champs at home. 13th in this event, the sprint. What can she do here, Indira?
So Gretsch just outside the time of Masters at 2:47.71. Would fully expect that to hold up and see her safely through to the last 12 as we go back to the first of 4 in a row to leave the gate for China. And Ma Jing at 34 from Jinzhou had a pretty good race in the long distance, finishing 5th. See if the shorter distance suits her.
Yep, 13 medals for the host nation China so far in the Nordic sports here at Beijing 2022. Li Panpan has one of them, a bronze in the long distance cross country event. So has she got the burst? Has she got the speed needed in the sprint? So 2:52.27 is the time of Anja Vicker. 9 seconds away, 9 3/4 seconds away from Masters mark. Should be enough. Wang next.
Wang Shiyu, 22-year-old from Shenyang. Former archer at national level. Picked up this particular sport 5 years ago in Dalian. Santos Rocha coming down 2:59.49, just a tick under the 3 minutes. Let's see if that's good enough.
Skarstein to finish. 2:42.54, the best time so far, 14 seconds slower. Skarstein, provisional 4th at present. So that'll be enough, surely. So Wang has left the start gate. Xu Bei. Lera Döderlein prepares to go as well. Now Picton for Canada. And not inside 3 minutes, 20.93 down on Masters there. That puts her 6th.
Bilodeau now of Canada. Based out of Quebec. on the way. Steps the sit ski out of the tracks, as is the preference of some of the athletes. Bilodeau had a 9th in the long distance event. We go back to the finish area, and Lisette of Norway
second youngest in the race here, Anastasia Laletina, who's 19, biathlete and cross-country skier combined. Now let's have a look at Mar, 7.88 away. That'll be good enough. So Laletina having left the start gate. Next up, Yang.
Yang, and from Beijing, the 32-year-old, and the gold medalist from the long distance event. Go back to the finish, and Lee, wow, that is good. That is knocking on the door of top spot, just outside the time set by Masters. Wang crossing in 2:57.03. Could be good enough to hold on to top 12.
Now China all set to continue their form, aren't they, here at home today? Next to go, Hope Gordon from Great Britain. Team GB with their biggest Paralympic Winter Games squad since Lillehammer in 1994.
Well, she's turned her back on swimming, still loves it, but also takes on canoeing, does Hope Gordon. As Chu comes in 10th spot. Back to the start for Erin Martin. The nurse out of Seattle, Washington. Prior to an accident, rock climbing, that was her preferred sport. And now really enjoying the sit skiing and Masters. Time of 2:42.54, unchallenged by Dirterline.
Well, that's the last qualifying mark as we stand now. 12th place then, 3:15.62. So 18 on the start line here. 6 will miss out. We'll have 12 going through to the semi-finals, and now it's nervy moments for Lera Dirterline. He's in the clubhouse, if you will, and seeing if anyone can beat this time of 3:15.62. Up at the top, Oksana Masters. No surprise to see her quickest on the racetrack at 2:42.54. Lee has been lightning quick too, already with a medal. Li Pan for China. Second quickest, Kendall Gretsch third, Ma Jing fourth, Anya Vicker in 5th place. So, Bilodeau here, the time isn't good enough. 1:03.76. So that's some 30 seconds away from Dirterline's mark.
Certainly gave it plenty. Young down to the line for China. Should be in there.
Yeah.
Comfortably in 3rd spot, just 2.5 seconds off top spot. Laletina.
So Dirterline pushed out of a qualifying place. China again really quick in these sprint events.
Kukla of Poland.
3:10.40. Oh. 13th. Just not good enough for Kukla.
Big disappointment for her. Back out to see Erin Martin being given plenty of encouragement out on the course.
So last qualifier at present, Indira Lisset, 3:10.40. That is the mark to sneak into the top 12 and push Lisset out of a qualifying place. We've got Hope Gordon to finish. We've got Erin Martin to finish. This is the second race of a busy day at the Zhangjiakou National Biathlon Centre. And we're watching the qualifying race for the women's sprint sitting event. So Gordon, no, 3:35.04, not good enough. Still looking good for Lisset. What can Martin do?
Love Hope Gordon's philosophy. She says, and you're not fully dressed unless you're wearing a smile. There you go.
Smile or grimace, you decide.
Some of each, perhaps. And Martin coming down to the line.
3:10.40 was the mark. And she's not going to do it, so Indira Lisset will be our last qualifier. A great effort here, though, from Erin Martin, who was last to leave the start gate, last to finish too.
Trains with fellow nurse Heather Gallio-Talanza in Washington State. A little bit of a coincidence there, both working at the same hospital as nurses. We can confirm for you there that Masters of the USA, China 2nd, 3rd, 5th and 8th. Kendall Gretsch in 4th spot there. Vicker goes through for Germany. Skarstein of Norway also. Picton of Canada. Chu of China. And Lisset just makes it in 12th spot.
Moving swiftly on. So the sprint event for the men in the standing category.
25 starters. And Benjamin Davier of France will lead them off, followed by Skupian of Poland. And again, a great spread of nations. On that first page, they've come from everywhere. States, Asia, Europe. China, of course, well represented. We've got Segmund of Mongolia and his teammate Batmuk going off 11th and 13th. Batmuk, the flag bearer for Mongolia at the opening ceremony. And also Islamic Republic of Iran represented in this one, along with Spain. Last minute preparation of equipment, making sure everything is just so. Start time for the men of 10:40, so we're 10:40 and 30 seconds, in fact, for Daviet. And we're just coming up to 10:39.30. So not far away from the start. And the men's standing will be quickly followed by the women's. 16 in the women's event, 25 in the men's.
Just saw a shot there of Vovchinsky waiting patiently. He'll be the 5th out for Ukraine. He's just denied his second gold of these games in the middle distance category. It was a biathlon, a race earlier here on the programme here at Zhangjiakou. There he is wearing 65, just drifting through the mass of athletes, coaches and officials there, gearing up for the start of this qualification lap in the men's sprint event here. So Davier will be first to go. Biathlon a sprint champion from the last Paralympic Winter Games in Pyeongchang. It's just not happened for him thus far in the para-biathlon events. Just off the podium in the biathlon sprint, 6th in the middle distance, but he's gone out at a fair old lick here.
Witold Skupien of Poland, 32 years of age now, turning 33 in June, was 5th in the long distance event in the cross country. And he's had a 7th in the classic technique in Pyeongchang in the sprint.
Eight medals for Germany so far in the Nordic sports here at Beijing 2022. Marco Meyer has one of them. There's a silver in the biathlon sprint, so we know he has the speed. Meyer off second in this qualification race. A couple of 4th place finishes in the recent world champs in Lillehammer.
And this remarkable young man, Kawayoke Taiki, 21-year-old from Toyama, the long-distance gold medalist. He can sustain a good pace for a long time. What about a rapid pace for a shorter time? We'll find out. Davier. Longer distance for the standing event of 1.35 kilometres.
4th Winter Paralympic Games for this guy, Grigory Vovchinski. Gold medal in the biathlon sprint, silver medal in the biathlon middle distance. Going for another medal here. Racing with Davier. There's the tuck over the brow of the hill, picks up a little bit of speed to try and set this reference time. The top 12 will go into the semi-finals.
Alexander Ehler was one of the good qualifiers 4 years ago, coming through in 4th position in the early stages of the competition then. Davier coming down to the line. Here's our first indication of what will be a good time. So let's see, 2:44.59.
5 Paralympic winter medals down the years for Nita Yoshihiro. 3 of them gold, starting in Vancouver in the middle distance classic event. Goes again here. Nita out on the racetrack, followed by Rosalind Reiter.
22-year-old, born in Ekaterinburg, but training out of Bozeman, Montana. A good base for some of the American competitors. And on his way. Nice, brisk, fluid start to his 1 lap. Skupien. Some 17 seconds outside the time of Meyer, who is suddenly the new time to beat at 2:43.67, the German.
Tavaski, second Paralympic winters for him. He was 11th in the sprint in Pyeongchang 4 years ago. The 28-year-old from Samadan in Switzerland. 11th in the long distance race.
And for China now, Kui Mingyang, bronze medalist in the long distance event. Koyoke down in a very respectable 2:49.95.
Yeah, that'll be good enough. So Vovchinski going to be outside Meyer's 2:43.67. But a nice race to just ease into the competition day there for Vovchinski. Dashdoj Shegmid of Mongolia. He's only 20. 2 Mongolians in this race. He was there at the World Champs in Lillehammer. Competed in the long and middle distance. Didn't actually enter the sprint race, a 10th and a 12th there.
Kazakhstan well represented at these games. Gerlitz gets away down to the line though. Ehler in 5th spot for Germany. And Gambold Batmunk next to go.
Twelfth in the long distance, Batmunk. Great tradition though. It's his 3rd Paralympic Winters. Nitter in at 2:56.69, 13 seconds away, looking good at present. It's the top dozen who will go through into the semi-finals a little later on. Liu next.
Liu Xiaobin, one of the younger competitors for China. Reiter for the USA down to the line in 2:54.49. Might be good enough. Big field, don't want to call anything too early. Some of the late starters could force their way into contention.
Bib 75, worn by the Italian Christian Toninelli. One of the 30-somethings in the race. 33 is Toninelli. 2nd Paralympic Winter Games, competed in Pyeongchang. He was 23rd in this sprint event. Had a finish of 9th with the Italian squad in the open 4x2.5 relay in Lillehammer.
Travasky gives himself a chance, sitting 8th at the moment, but only 9 across the line. Yomoto. He's from Sapporo. Great winter sport area. And at 26, he was 13th in the long distance event here in the cross country. Raced in Sochi and Pyeongchang. 18th in the sprint in Pyeongchang. 32nd in Sochi.
Xu about to come over the line for China. 23 seconds away from Meyer's mark. 10th, that's right on the edge at present.
Still Marco Meyer sitting atop with 2:50.49. It's a real time, the actual time 2:43.67. So that is the time to be the fastest qualifier.
And Gerlitz now has a bronze already at these games, 6.78. He's been quick in his qualifying lap. That's well played. Alexander Gerlitz slots into 5th place at the moment. Now then, 47, Kjartan Haugen. His Paralympic winter career stretches back all the way to Nagano in 1998, where he was on the podium with a bronze in the men's 4x5 kilometre relay, 3-time world champion. So the years are against him, no question, but the spirit is still there. Does he still have the speed? We shall soon find out. Batmunk now coming over the line. 21.72 down, 11th at present. Again, it's tenuous whether he can make it through.
Seraphim Drahun, in contrast to Haugen of Norway, he's a young man in a hurry at just 16. So go back to the finish and pick up Liu's time, which is going to be pretty good. Should go through with that effort.
Really quick. Liu Xiaobin at 2:49.10. So the challenge is an inter-team one. Again, really, the Chinese athletes very quick again on this morning of competition. Men's sprint free technique standing qualification race. Wu Gao Shun, 21-year-old, away racing. 5th in the middle distance in the biathlon, 6th in the biathlon sprint.
Tonanelli of Italy coming down in 3:20 and change. Oh, outside the top dozen, unfortunately for him. '82 is Drew Shea, the 24-year-old from Montana in the United States. Studied at the University of South Carolina, business admin and hospitality.
It's going to be Wang with another quick time, 6:77 away from Myers, 2:43.67. But surely going to be good enough that. And Iwamoto, that's disappointing. 30.78 down. Kai, very quick again for the host nation.
At the moment, China sitting 4th, 5th, 7th. 84 is Rodolfo Garcia of Spain. Was 14th in the long distance event as Haugen comes through. Just into the top 10, 12 to progress, remember.
And the last of our athletes in this qualifier is away from the start gate. 19-year-old from Iran, Abdul Fazil Khatibi Maine. Great to see him in the race. He was there in Pyeongchang, 21st in the sprint 4 years ago. So everyone has either finished or is out on the race course. Current 12th best time would be good enough for a spot in the semis. Nitta Yoshihiro, 2:56.69. Draun is just outside. Agony for him. The last guaranteed qualifier is Wang, by the way, 2:54.4.
Plenty of racing years ahead of Draun, though. Youngest man in the field at 16. And you've got competitors out there in their 40s. Wu just missing out.
So still Nitta Yoshihiro at 2:56.69. Garcia out on the race course still.
This is the free technique as opposed to the classic. They alternate between games and championships to keep interest in both forms of cross-country skiing vibrant.
Born in Bolivia, Paul Macori Redalad Garcia. That's his parents moved to Spain, and he was very young. So, women's standing qualifier about to start.
16 competitors. Grace Miller and Vilde Nilsson of the United States and Norway bookending this competition, and we're ready for a start. We're moving swiftly on as we promised we would. No time at all between events.
So, Vilde Nilsson then, the world champion. Now then, it hasn't quite happened for her so far on the Zhangjiakou hill here, but maybe this is her opportunity to pick up a bit of speed and really get into her racing groove. Out first, ahead of Lyashenko and Kononova, the two Ukrainians.
It was a surprising DNF from her in the long distance event, but here's Lyashenko, go out second for Ukraine. Done well in biathlon events here. From Kharkiv, a 28-year-old sets out after Nielsen. They are the same classification, a 96% time factoring. So this altitude, maybe that was what sorted her out in that long distance event.
Third to go, Alexandra Kononova, the biathlon middle distance silver medalist, 31. She's contributed to this terrific Ukrainian success story so far at Zhangjiakou. A host of medals down the years as we race with Nielsen, just 21. Fantastic prospect, and now Natalie Wilkie.
Well, talk about prospects, and Natalie Wilkie's got plenty. A gold medalist in the long distance event. Back out to check on Nielsen, see if she's holding a form. Conditions are a little unfamiliar, and this added altitude of parts of the course are up towards 1,700 metres. Sydney Peterson now.
Yeah, well, we know all about Oksana Masters and Kendall Gretsch, don't we? But in Sydney Peterson, the United States has another para-Nordic squad star. Silver in the long-distance classic, and a great competitor. Her first international event was the recent World Champs, where there were a pair of silver medals. But Peterson goes again here.
So we've got Konishuk not starting, so a little gap in the start area. The Ukrainian not making it to the line.
Yeah, Nielsen, who was first to go, still out there on the course, looking to post our first reference time. 6-time world champion, by the way. She's bossed it across all the distances, and with the Norwegian team in the relay as well. Now then, here's Faron.
So Nielsen popping across into the shadows of the grandstand to finish off her lap, which is 1 kilometre and 357 metres. Longer than the sitting course, as we've mentioned. Just to clarify that for you, how these times are going. So 3:13.11 is the factored time. Real time of 3:21.16.
25-year-old Dani Arovich next to go. Hometown boys, Idaho, finishes of 13th and 11th in the two para-biathlon races in which he's competed so far. That was in the sprint and middle distance races, respectively. Lyashenko is going to be outside of Nielsen's mark here. 4:43 outside, to be precise.
And Zhao Shiqing gets away, and the 24-year-old who was just out of the medals in the long distance classic, 4th place. Kononova coming through in a good time. 3:16.76 factored.
Well, plenty of homemade stars have been made here in these Beijing Paralympic Winter Games. This is one of them, Guo Yuzhe. She helped carry the flag into the Bird's Nest Stadium, the opening ceremony. She leaves the start gate for her qualifying lap as Wilkie comes in the quickest time of 3:11.87. So we have our new reference time.
She's in good nick, isn't she? As Abe Yurika of Japan heads out onto the course. And the 26-year-old who was 8th in the long distance event gets it going.
Wang Bangzhuan, 22. Seventh in the long distance. Really strong squad across the board, the Chinese here. Peterson, 4.76 away from Wilkie, but that'll be good enough.
Face flushed with the effort as we go back to the start area, and Li Huiling, 26-year-old from Zhaoshuang, only been in the sport a couple of years. That's true of a number of the Chinese competitors who've been talent ID'd and brought into the program. And bringing great credit to the host nation. Just needed the facilities and attract some people to the sport, and they can do a job.
Next to finish will be Faron in the slowest time yet. But we're going to lose 4 competitors only here from the start list in terms of those who won't be progressing into the semi-finals. Bigger margin for error, I suppose. Wang Ruo goes next here for China, the Chinese athlete to go. There are 3 teenagers in this race. Wang is one of them, as Arovich finishes in 3:25.43. 6th place at present, pushing Faron into 7th. It's still Wilkie, Nielsen and Peterson with our 3 best times.
Grace Miller set to go. The Guangzhou-born American. Like many, based in Montana, Bozeman. Had a 9th in the long distance event as we go to the finish, and Zhao. Good time. She'll be there.
Yeah, so she becomes our 5th confirmed qualifier, Zhao. We have Natalie Wilkie, Vilda Nielsen, Sydney Peterson, Alexandra Kononova, and now Zhao Zhixing, sure of their spots in the semi-finals. And Guo 12:11 away, not confirmed yet, but soon to be. She would have wanted to go a little bit quicker, I think, there, Guo. Grace Miller now has that target of 3:23.98, just to be confirmed. And indeed, Badana Konashuk didn't start here. So Miller will finish last. 2nd Paralympic Winter Games, 16th in the sprint 4 years ago in Pyeongchang.
It's a shame for Konashuk, you know, with 16 starters and 12 to go through, your odds are pretty good of progressing. Abe, 34 seconds behind the Canadian Wilkie.
Might be enough, although it's right on the edge for Abe Eureka. So Huang, she'll come in 10th, pushing Abe down a spot, 32 seconds away.
We've got the vision impaired races still to come in about 5 minutes, if we keep on schedule here. coming through in 3:41.34. Might be all right.
Yeah, so that leaves Abe Eureka in 12th place at present. 3:46.04 is that last time to beat.
Grace Miller giving it all she can around the second half of this 1.35 kilometre course for the standing athletes. Short rise there, takes care of that quickly.
Yeah, 3 Americans in this race. Miller will be the last to finish. We've already seen Arovic come in 3:24.43. And Peterson in 3:16.63. This is Iwamoto. She'll be outside Abe Eureka's time, her compatriot. So I'm afraid that Iwamoto Mika will not be going through. Wang now.
Oh, just outside. Her teammates were cheering her home, hoping she could find something, but she doesn't find quite enough.
So Huang now guaranteed a spot, 3:44.15. And Grace Miller, no, she'll be outside 3:46. So will not be going through. 42 seconds down, in fact. So hasn't been the race that she would have wanted in this sprint qualifier for Grace Miller, but we have our 12 qualifiers. Best time from Natalie Wilkie in 3:11.87, all the way down there to Abe Eureka, who is the last qualifier in 12th place. Vilda Nilsson and Sydney Peterson next quickest after Natalie Wilkie. And Wang, Grace Miller, Iwamoto Mika miss out, and Konashuk didn't start.
Marco Meyer earlier in the men's, top of the standings for progressing. Davie Wyszynski, Tsai and Liu of China, along with Wang. Kawayoki also there for Japan. Gerlitz of Kazakhstan and Ruslan Reiter of the United States in 9th spot. Through to Haugen, Ayla and Yoshihiro, Norway, Germany and Japan completing the qualifiers for you. And they'll go away in 2 semi-finals. Vision impaired racers now, and in the men's side of things, we've got 17 to take the start, headed up by, well, do we need to say, Brian McKeever, the evergreen, ever-winning, ever-unbeatable Brian McKeever and his guide Russell Kennedy. And Sebastian Modin of Sweden's there, Jake Adikoff of the United States, Messinger of Germany, and Chalanson, Suako, Ukraine well represented here. Garbowski there for Poland, Inola Finland, Reshetinsky of Ukraine, Oksal of Norway, Yu of China, good Chinese presence here, Zhu He, Nelson of the United States, Novitsi of Poland and Pavel Gil also, and Ariyasu Ryohi of Japan. All with a guide. All tackling the same course as the men's standing freestyle. It's just under 1.4 kilometres.
Yeah, all pretty busy down there, isn't it? As athletes, coaches, officials, technical delegates mix and try and get these athletes away safely, but Indeed, in the VI, you mentioned it, Steve, Brian McKeever, the magic man, the most decorated Paralympic cross-country skier of all time, going for more medals. He's already got a gold here, just to add to the 13 he's won in previous Paralympic Winter Games. That was in the long distance, the classic. And it goes again first here, top 8 going through to the final round.
McKeever and Moden, who'll go 1-2 here, finished first and second 4 years ago. Erik Bay of Norway was the bronze medalist on that occasion, and Jake Adikoff was 4th. So there'll be 2 semi-finals of 4 to split those 8 qualifiers, as alluded to.
Yeah, Brian McKeever off first then, guided by Russell Kennedy at 42. It was one of the big stories previewing these Beijing Paralympic Winter Games. Could he fulfill the golden goodbye? And the answer is so far so good for Brian McKeever. It was a brilliant win in the previous cross-country race and that long-distance event for McKeever. An astonishing run of success that dates all the way back to Salt Lake City.
Well, this distance will suit Sebastian Moden of Sweden. He likes the shorter distance. He's got plenty of power. And be surprised if he doesn't go through. His guide, Emil Jonsson Haag, made it all the way through to the final 4 years ago. He'll be hoping to do the same. And McKeever has said he gets up in the morning and goes to bed at night in pain, and he thinks it's just about time he gave that lifestyle away. But what a career, astonishing.
So our medalists in the long distance going off 1, 2 and 3. It was Jake Adikoff finishing silver. Away racing then in this qualifier in the sprint event. Racing with McKeever and his guide Russell Kennedy as we return to the start line where Nico Merzinger is waiting to be unleashed.
Yes, the 27-year-old won't be holding back here from Freiburg. McKeever there with Russell Kennedy. He was quick to give Russell Kennedy some credit. He said he's a good fast guide. Well, he needs to stay in front of McKeever, who you might recall controversially was left out of the Canadian Olympic team, and it was that good.
Brice Ottanello leading out Anthony Chalençon of France. The hunger is still there, of course it is, for McKeever. Big encouragement from the coaches.
So to claim a medal, you've got to race 3 times. It's a question of quick recovery as we check out the departure of Dmitry Suarko of Ukraine. And McKeever comes down to the line. This will be the time to consider. 2:37.34. The beard's starting to grey a little for McKeever as Kovalevsky gets set.
Yeah, Anatoly Kovalevsky, silver in the biathlon middle distance event. Third, the Paralympic Winter Games. The journey started in Sochi. He was 8th in the middle distance. Yet to race in the sprint event. And away here. Accomplished para-biathlete as well. As at 3 Paralympic winter medals in biathlon in years gone by, as Modin finishes outside the time of McKeever to the tune of just over 3 seconds.
Adikoff has carved a bit off McKeever's time, and so he is now got the #1 time on the board. just making a little bit of a statement early on. Inki Enola now of Finland. From Lauka, finished just out of the medals in the long distance event, a 4th placing for the Finn. Messinger, about 15 seconds, 12 seconds indeed, off the pace of Adikov.
After Dmitry Siarko and Anatoly Kovalevsky, 3rd Ukrainian to leave the start gate is Yaroslav Reshetinsky, guided by Konstantin Yaremenko. 29, Reshetinsky, 3rd Paralympic Winter Games. Best he's done in cross-country thus far. A 5th, but just off the podium, 4th in the middle distance biathlon. Chalençon with a good time, just 2 seconds away from Adikov.
He's had his challenges in biathlon events, but that's an impressive effort from him. Good to see. Siarko down in 2:47.38. 17 starters and 8 to go through as Yu gets it away for China. 18-year-old from Daju. Kovalevsky. It's okay. There's a bit of a gap really between the top couple. And you get 2:36, 2:37, and then down to 2:47 for Siarko.
Suhe, guided by Diao Chengguo. 5th in the long distance. Gabowski will finish in 2:48.55. 11 seconds away from the best time. It's right on the cusp. Last qualifying mark, 2:49.59 at present, set by Messinger as next to go. Max Nielsen
out of Minnesota. The 18-year-old. A lot of promising teenagers at these Paralympic Winter Games.
Outside the top 8 is Inola. 18.7.5 down and 6 seconds away from Messinger's mark. Nowitzki away, guided by Jan Corbin. One of the younger racers out there at 21 from Lasky. Pavel Nowitzki was there at the Lillehammer World Champs. Reshetinsky, oh, 9th, 13.69 down. He's just outside the top 8.
Yeah, 8 only to go through. Just confirming that for you. Pavel Gil, Michal Lander doing the guiding. The 2 Polish competitors going back to back here. They'll set out after Nowitzki, and then we just have one to come from Japan, Ariyasu. Oksal, who was a non-starter in a long-distance event, he was due to take part in that, just didn't manage it.
So last to go then, Ariyasu Reahe, guided by Fujita Yuhei at 35. Ariyasu 7th in the long-distance race from Chofu. Was actually born in San Francisco, but naturalized Japanese. Yu 2:49, 2:4. He's stolen into the last qualifying place.
He's on the bubble, as they say. Will he sit there, or will he be pushed out?
So, likely to be the last to finish, Ariyasu Reahe. A factored time of 99%. So he knows that A top 8 finish is what it's all about. Zhu at 2:51.01, that's not good enough. Yu Shuang has set the new last qualifying mark of 2 minutes 49.24.
We've had somebody withdraw here. Is it Pavel Gill?
Yeah, it's one of the Poles. I think it's Gill there.
Wonder what's happened. It's unfortunate. Nelson won't be there, unfortunately. 23.54 behind Adakov.
5 confirmed qualifiers at present: Jake Adikov, Brian McKeever, Anthony Chalençon, Sebastian Modin and Anatoly Kovalevsky.
Ariasu hoping to join them.
Yeah, it'll be a big push here to get inside 2:49.
Women's event due to start in a minute or so, and hopefully we'll get a completed race from Karina Edlinger. She's had a tough time here. Shishkova, Volta, who's done rather well herself. Be good to see Lynn Kazmaier go round again. And a field of 10 and 8 to go through.
Lorenz Josef Lampel will be the guide here for Karina Edlinger of Austria. Indeed, it's not been her tournament so far here in Beijing. Bronze medalist in the 7.5K in Pyeongchang, just outside the medals, 4th place in the sprint 4 years ago. She goes off quickly, the 23-year-old from Salzburg, accomplished the para biathlete as well.
Yeah, she's had a couple of DNFs and looked to be health reasons or just not feeling right on the day. So we'll look for a better result for her in this one, as Shishkova has had a good, strong games, gets ready to go for Ukraine. The 30-year-old gold medalist in the long distance event. And the VIs.
Edlinger then pushing through, and doesn't need the guide, it seems, at present. Leonia Maria Walter, guided by Permin Stricker. Now then, what a game she's had at just 18, the student. 2 bronzes and a gold medal in the middle distance biathlon event. Absolutely brilliant, the young Germans so far, coming off the back of a 5th in the mixed 4x2.5 relay at the Lillehammer. The world champs, competes in the biathlon as well. So Walter, a brilliant game. So too Lynn Kazmaier.
Yes, she's had a silver in the long distance event. Kazmaier at 15, one of the youngest at these games. Get back out to Edlinger, who's skiing on her own at the moment, which is unexpected. But holding it together, we just want to see her finish a race. It's been a really unhappy time for her so far.
There was a bronze medal in the middle distance biathlon race for Wang Yue. She leaves the start gate here, guided by Li Yarlin, the 22-year-old. As well, we race again with Edlinger really determined into the tuck for extra speed. And she'll be the first to set our reference time here.
Rechtenwald of Germany. So Volta, Kazmaier and Rechtenwald, good strong representation from Germany, but it is the Austrian we're looking to give us a time to chase, and she is flying down into the area to approach the home straight. young Chan-Ru.
Two Chinese athletes in this race after Wang Yue. It's now Yang with her guide Yu Hongxun. And there's a lot of youth in the Chinese squad. Yang at just 20, as we see Edlinger finish here to post our first reference time in this women's sprint VI qualifier. It's going to be 3:23.38. So Shishkova and the two Germans will chase this down.
Here is Chechenko of Ukraine. Just two to come after her. The 26-year-old was 5th in the long-distance event in the cross-country from Bila Shvetva in Ukraine. '11th in the sprint at the World Championships, as we check out Shishkova, and she's outside the time of Edlinger.
Yeah, nearly 9 seconds outside the time of Edlinger. Very slow there, perhaps just pacing herself.
Edlinger looked fast, I must say. It's good to see it from her.
So, the last to leave the start gate from the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's Elahe Ghalifallah, as we see the finish of Eli Valter, 3:35.34. Yeah, decent point about Edlinger. It was her pace rather than the others being a little bit slower, I think. Can Edlinger carry it through, though, into the semis, and hopefully for her the final?
Kazmaier just easing off towards the line, must have been fairly confident that what she was doing was going to be good enough. Remember, it's most of these athletes are going through 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it's a great encouragement here for Elahe Ghalifallah and her guide Fazana Rezaldani, 25-year-old Iranian. They competed in Pyeongchang, 11th in the sprint, competed in just the one event 4 years ago. But here she is, representing the Islamic Republic of Iran. Wang to post her a qualifying time of 3:46.19. But indeed, we're going to lose only 2 athletes here from this race going into the semi-finals. Confirmed qualifiers: Karina Edlinger, Lynn Kazmaier, Oksana Shishkova, and soon to be confirmed also Leonie Valter and Wang Yue. Rechtenwald, 13.28 down on Edlinger, goes into 5th place, so that pushes Wang down a spot, and Yang also.
1:37, young Chan-Ru. The athletes seem to have decided that approach to the finish line on their extreme right is where the better snow is to be had. Not exposed to the sun, maybe it's just a little bit firmer, not softening up as quickly. That makes sense indeed, as Young comes down in 3:43 exactly and into 6th spot.
So the current qualifying mark, 3:46.19. That's Wang Yue's time. And that's Aneta Gorska, guided by Catherine Spadenberg. Sole pole in this race, the 21-year-old. 8th in the biathlon sprint. Kachenko in at 3:46.58, holds 8th.
Well, that's the spot. That's just 2 out there. And Gorska is the one to consider. 3:46.19 to be certain. 3:46.58 to beat Chechenko. And she won't do it. Skied a good lap, though.
Yeah. In a moment, we'll have our 8 confirmed qualifiers for the semi-finals. Unfortunately, Aneta Gorska will not be one of them. Still have Elahe Golifala of Islamic Republic of Iran to finish this qualifier. But I think we know the identity of the 8 athletes who'll be going through to the semi-finals. This is the qualification lap in the women's sprint for vision-impaired athletes. Big effort here from Golifala.
Be a small gap in the program as we get set for the next stage of competition, due to get underway at top of the clock, 12 midday, for the first of the semi-finals in the men's sitting category. And we're just after, a tick after 11:30 local time. That's the scene around Zhangjiakou, which has served so well through the Olympics and Paralympic Winter Games. So just the one to finish in the vision impaired category for the women, and then we can consider who's left in which category and who'll go right through to the finals. There will only be 4 in the vision impaired finals, men and women. Just grabbing hold of the tip of the stock for this downhill section. Golifala.
Golifala, the polar opposite of Karina Edlinger, who didn't need the guide in her lap.
Has to let go there, can't be towed up the hill, of course. Yes, it came as a bit of a surprise, that lap from Edlinger on a couple of levels. Most pleasingly, the fact that she looked in such good form, having been out of sorts in other races.
Golifala, the opening ceremony flag bearer for Islamic Republic of Iran, so already a memorable week here for the 25-year-old.
So she really wants to be a trailblazer for vision-impaired athletes back home, and has picked up multiple awards for her contribution to sport for those with a visual impairment. There's this little incline before into the home straight, and we'll have Golifala across the line before too long, but we know that Edlinger, Kazmaier, Shishkova, Volta, Rechtenwald and Young, plus Wang Yu is there, and Tachenko, although she doesn't have a Q next to her name just yet, will have shortly.
Yeah, this is the final athlete completing the 6th race, the 6th qualifying event here on this beautifully sunny morning in the Zhangjiakou Mountains at the National Biathlon Centre. More para cross-country medals to be awarded deeper into the day here, as there's a very commendable finish for Elahe Golifala of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Finishes in last place here, 10th spot, 7:09.45. So she and Aneta Gorska are the skiers who miss out on a place in the semi-finals. Confirmation then of the fastest time set by the Austrian Edliger, 323.38. Then Kazmaier, Walter Rechtenwald with Shishkova, Yang, Wang and Kachenko.
Golofala came to compete and complete this race, and she's achieved that, so all credit to her, and Gorska, of course. Adakov, Makiva and Shalanson going through as the top three in the men's vision impaired, and then Moden of Sweden, Kovalevsky and Swako of Ukraine. 2:36.72 the top time. Garbowski and Yu of Poland and China joining them in the semi-final stage. So it was Nowitzki of Poland who we saw unable to complete his lap. So the officials are just getting everything ready.